Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Johnny Walker, and I'm literally sitting here just kind of wrapping my brain around the amazing few days that I spent at the American Association of Endodontics annual meeting, and this year it was in Boston. It just happened a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording, but as I sit here reflecting, I wanted to record a quick video about some of the incredible conversations that I had there. And it wasn't just about root canals and microscopes, but we talked about money, investing, and the mindset shift that is happening among endodontists. Luckily, I've been kind of put into the forefront as the guy to talk to when it comes to endodontists and investing in real estate. And I was on a podcast at the American Association of Endodontics, Endo Voices podcast, which is run by Dr. Marcus Johnson, a good friend of mine and doing absolutely amazing things at the AAE. Now, first of all, clinically, this meeting was fire, right? I go every year, and every year I come back from the AAE annual meeting with fresh knowledge, new techniques, and ways to treat my patients with more precision and cutting-edge technology. And that's what we do. We get better. I also got to reconnect with a lot of old friends, including some of my very favorite co-residents from my alma mater of postdoctoral education, which was NYU, New York University. Now, there's a bond among endodontists that's just different. I have a lot of dentists that follow our channel and follow our Facebook group and invest alongside us, but we have a disproportionately high percentage of endodontists. I mean, it's probably because I'm an endodontist also, and we kind of are even closer of kin. And we've been through a lot of the same battles, the same type of challenges. The AAE is like really a safe space where we don't have to explain ourselves and we just get it. Now, one of the coolest things that happened is I stopped by the Endo Voices podcast booth. Now, shout out to Dr. Marcus Johnson. He told me when I went by there, because he was literally interviewing people for his podcast the entire weekend. So he had booked different endodontists that he was interviewing about different topics, and they had a very impressive booth set up at the conference. It was like a small podcast studio, and he was literally interviewing people. And I had a chance to talk to Dr. Marcus, and it shocked me that he said that my episode was one of the most viewed ever on the Endo Voices podcast. If you want to catch that, make sure you check it out. I believe that was in, I don't remember. It was a couple of months ago, but it was a financial freedom, and we talked about investing. We talked about endodontist approach to it. And he told me that this episode was literally the most viewed one they've had. And that meant a lot because my episode wasn't clinical. It was about financial freedom. But what that tells you is about how dentists can start thinking like investors and build income streams outside the chair. And it resonated with a lot of endodontists because even as an endodontist, most of us are very high income earners. We still realize that there is a need to start developing streams of income so that we're not tied to the chair, scraping infected dentin for the rest of our lives. Now, this message clearly resonated. Since that airing of that podcast, I've had many endodontists reach out directly to because of it. 3 of them even joined my mastermind group. We now have, I think, 25% of our mastermind members are endodontists now. And throughout the conference, I was stopped several times by people who recognized me from my YouTube channel or a Facebook group or the podcast. And I'm very proud that people are starting to know me as the guy who talks about investing and developing passive income. And you know what? I'm totally okay with that because I have dedicated my career to helping doctors to develop financial freedom through passive investment. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I had so many different conversations with endodontists about money. And the thing is, they were all over the map. One doc I met, he owns 3 endodontic practices in Tampa, and he owns the associated real estate too. And I asked her, what does she invest in? And she said, more practices. And I told her, hey, that's an amazing ROI. And what you're doing is absolutely incredible because she's had fast growth. She has a good business plan in place, a good business mind, very good clinical endodontist. And she's, hey, I'm taking all my money and I'm buying more endo practices. Because guess what? The return on an investment like that, where you're betting on yourself, you're betting on your profession, can have some of the highest ROIs possible. But I told her, listen, this is exactly what you should do. You should invest in your business and yourself, and do not stop doing that. But, and there was a but there, I said, even if someone as successful as you might think about, hey, let's take some chips off the table. Let's diversify from just investing in endo practices, right? Things that are not related to endodontics, maybe not even related to dentistry, and start building some income that isn't tied to the day-to-day of your business. Not because you need it right now. Not at all. You don't. Your cash flow is very good. And for her, the cash flow is excellent. But what it does is it lowers your risk. Right? It gives you another option. And having options, creating options, helps to decrease risk even for very successful people. Then I met another guy who told me that he read the book called The Psychology of Money. This is a good friend of mine. He's an endodontist. He's been an endodontist for 13 years now. And he said, hey, listen, it's really shaped how he thinks. Now, he's a good friend of mine. He knows that I invest in these passive investments, alternate assets, and he has never invested even in one of them. He doesn't even ask for more information about it. And I'm not the pushy guy. I don't ever try to push or convince people that realize that they have a problem and they want to get investing in other things, and they want to develop tax efficiencies, and they want to develop passive streams of income. They find their way to me, right? And those are the people that I want to help, the people that are motivated. I don't try to push my agenda. I don't try to push anything. I don't force anything. We've been good friends. We talk about endodontics, and we keep it like that. I have no problem with that. He's a very good friend. I talk to him about parenting, talk to him about sports. We talk about everything except for this. And that's fine. But now at this conference, it's been 6 or 7 years now since Walk of Wealth has been out, and he said, hey, you know I'm ultra conservative. I keep a ton of money liquid. I mean, I basically, in savings, I throw a bunch of money in ETFs. He lives way below his means, despite having a very strong income. And I totally respect that. I totally respect what he's doing. But he came and said, hey, look, I'm really conservative. This is my psychology, and this is where I'm at. I've been thinking about reaching out to you about investing for a while, but I'm very conservative. I want to be safe, and I had no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But I told him that safe money, and if you wanted to see the video where I talk about safe money, smart money, and growth money or conservation money, you can see, I think there's 2 videos back. We talk about the 3 different sort of broad areas that really successful people keep money. And his safe money, I told him that bucket is full. It's overflowing, right? Because it's one thing, you should have safe money. Safe money, just to reiterate, this is money that you have as liquid, right? That you can access very quickly in case of emergency, in case of an opportunity, in case of a disability or a death, and you just need some cash to live on. You should have reserve money. You shouldn't even consider investing until you have a certain level of safe money, right? And for really conservative people, it might be 3 months at a minimum. You need 3 months of monthly expenses saved. And, on a very conservative 12 months, hey, I could last for a year if I didn't work with my reserve, right? But then once you start getting to, hey, I got 2 years or 3 years of money that I could live off of if push comes to shove. Yes, it gives you safety, but the problem is that there's no growth there. So you can still be conservative, you can still have reserves, but then you don't want to over commit to one thing. And you can still be conservative, you can still invest wisely as he does. And, for a guy like him, I would say, hey, look, you're a conservative investor. Your safe money is overflowing. You're not getting any growth. The liquidity part is there. You've protected yourself. But now you start shifting some of those funds into other types of investments that start to develop wealth and cash flow. And if you want to be on the low risk spectrum and you don't want to invest in common equity deals like in syndications, then you might consider things like preferred equity, pref equity, right, as it's called, or even debt funds, because they're much lower risk on the risk spectrum. Again, I have videos on what a preferred equity is, as well as debt funds, so you can look back and see some of those videos. But if you go back and look, these are categorically lower risk positions than a common equity position, which means that you have a better chance of conserving your capital, not losing money in investment, and getting better downside protection while still getting significantly higher returns than you would in a safe money bucket. Now, I talked to my close friend. We were talking at an endodontic party. It was a party. It was like a cocktail. I think it was the American Association Endodontics cocktail hour and the dance floor. And we were just close friends, and we started talking about this stuff. And he told me, I don't really know anything about investing when I graduated, right? And I was in the same boat as him. And he says, I come from a background where we were financially illiterate. My dad was killed when I was young, right, by LAPD. and my mother was just trying to survive. And he said, you know, I trust you. I want to get started, but I don't know anything about this stuff. And truth be told, I haven't done anything yet because I'm scared. And that one really hit me, because this is exactly why I do this. Exactly why I have this YouTube video, this channel is because we as dentists, as doctors that have targets on our back, everybody wants something from us. I'm trying to show you what I've learned along my way, what I've seen really successful people do, and try to help people to get over this fear and start investing in a savvy way. And listen, and then on the other end of the spectrum, he was the beginner. I spoke to some other endodontists who were incredibly savvy financial people, right? They very highly financially literate, and they were investing in all kinds of alternatives, right? Real estate, oil and gas, private equity, all the stuff that we like to look at Walk of Wealth Capital. So it was really cool to see that full spectrum, from brand new novice investors to seasoned investors. So what did I take away from all of this? Well, that there is undoubtedly a shift happening. Endodontists and dentists in general are starting to wake up. They're realizing that clinical mastery is only part of the equation. Financial mastery matters too. The days of just stuffing money in a 401k and hoping that it goes somewhere and hoping that the stock market will give you predictable returns, those days are over, right? We see the number of public offerings starting to dwindle, and private investments have really filled that gap. And if you don't learn how to invest wisely, your money will sit idle, or worse, lose value. If you're watching this and any of these stories resonated with you, I'd love to connect with you. Whether it's through our Facebook group, which is called Financial Freedom for Dentists. That's a really great way to chat with me, chat with others. We have a weekly live show. We go live every Monday. You can ask questions. It's a really interactive sort of group. So I definitely recommend that you join us and connect with us there. And if you're really serious, we have our mastermind group, right? It's a paid mastermind group. Guaranteed to lock in growth, guaranteed to lock in your knowledge quicker, expand your knowledge base, give you access to resources as well as vetted investment deals, and be surrounded by a network of really high-level colleagues that all have the same goals and same alignment of interests, and it's very powerful. So if you're interested about that, you can go to our website. It's in the description below. Schedule a call with me. Would love to chat with you more. If you believe that you'd be a strong fit, we are looking for strong members to continue to build a very powerful group. And just reach out, just check out our website even if you're not at that level. Maybe you just want some resources to get started. Hey, download a resource. We got blogs. We have things to get you started, get your mindset right, just to kind of help you start figuring things out, right? I'm here to help, and we're trying to think about wealth in a different way and walk that path toward true freedom. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next video.